Is it visible? The slides are visible?
As yes, sir.
Okay, okay. My voice are audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So we can start the session now. So myself, Ajit Kumar, a PhD Prime Minister Research Fellow from the Department of Bioscience and Bioengineering from IIT Guwahati. So in this session, we will see the week one live interaction session for the NPTEL course Environmental Biotechnology. I am one of the course TA member for this course, Environmental Biotechnology. Course ID is NOC 25BT83. So before moving on to the course Environmental Biotechnology, I will give you a personal introduction about me. Once again, myself, Ajit Kumar, a JDP program research scholar, which is a joint degree program between IIT Guwahati and IIT BHU Varanasi. So I work in a laboratory of biochemical and environmental engineering, where my lab works on wastewater treatment, and my research is mainly focused on application of enzymes in the wastewater treatment, especially in the textile wastewater. So moving on to my qualification, I have done my BTech Biotechnology from Sastra University, Tamil Nadu, and MTech Industrial Biotechnology from NIT Surathkal, Karnataka. MTech Industrial Biotechnology from NITK Surathkal, Karnataka. Apart from that, I have working experience in different pharmaceutical companies like Biocon Limited, Enzene Bioscience. So this is all about my personal introduction. So before moving on to the course, can two to three people can introduce yourself by telling your name, what kind of a BTech, MTech, or a PhD, and what kind of discipline you are, which college and which state. And if you are not comfortable, you can message me in the chat box also, so that I can view the audience diversity, so that I can plan my upcoming big section. So anyone interested can introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Pragati.
So myself Pragati Ganesh Malnade, and I'm from Shigod, Maharashtra State. I'm studying BSc Forestry in Dr. Panjabrao Deshmukh Krishi Vidyapit, Akola.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pragati. Anyone? You can also message in the chat box if you're not uncomfortable. If you're not comfortable. Okay. Let's move on to the PPT. The slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So moving on to this course, environmental biotechnology. If you see the basics of this environmental biotechnology, Um, I hope that you have all gone through the week one of this environmental biotechnology course, and here we will revise the week one course, and from next week onwards we will try to solve problems related to it, and we will see MCQs related on week one and week two of the courses. So now, if you see the environmental biotechnology, this term gives an idea that there are three terms: environmental, bio, and technology. So, what do you mean by environmental biotechnology? We will apply the biotechnology in all aspects of the environment, which is environment, bio, and technology. So, what do you mean by environment? It contains all living and non-living things on the earth. And what is the living things means? Anyone? Living things includes
So plants, animals, and maybe microbes, microorganisms, etc.
correct, correct, absolutely. So these are all the living things, and non-living things also are like air, water, land. These are all non-living. So all the living and non-living things that exist on Earth are regarded as environment. So what do you mean by bio? It is nothing but any biology or biological process that are involved in treating the environment considered to be the bio term. And the third term, which refers is technology. Technology is nothing but applying the technical knowledge, applying the technical knowledge to the existing biological process. So this environmental biotechnology helps in applying the biotechnological tools or concept to address the environmental challenges or issues. So this covers the basic definition of the environmental biotechnology. So if you see, one of the prime example is deep water horizon oil spill, which is which occurred in Gulf of Mexico. What happens here is an oil spill has been happened in the Gulf of Mexico region, and more than 4.9 million barrels of oils has been spilled into the sea, which causes and disturbs whole aquatic ecosystems. So what happens here is, so, in order to remove these oils or to bioremediate these oils, scientists has come to an action that we can use some kind of bacteria in order to remediate this oil. The remediation is nothing but the treatment of this oil or removing the oil from the water so that it doesn't disturb the aquatic ecosystem. So, what scientists have tried is they have applied a specific microorganism, which is nothing but a proteobacter, which is proteobacteria, which has the capacity to consume these oils. So, anyone know what is oil is made up of? Like that petroleum oil? The petroleum oil is made up of hydrocarbons. These are all liquid hydrocarbons. So, what happens here is this proteobacter has the capacity to consume these hydrocarbons and convert into simpler non-toxic form. So scientists have sprayed this proteobacter into the sea and they have treated it effectively. So here what happens here is, here we could understand the environmental biotechnology. In this case, the environment is the ocean or the sea, and the biopot is we applied the bioremediation, which is microorganism. Here we applied proteobacter as a microorganism in order to treat the oil spill. And the technology that we have applied is the giving appropriate nutrition and condition to the microorganism so that we can remediate the oil spill. So this is how the environmental biotechnology is applied in the real-time environmental issue. So this is the basic introduction to the environmental biotechnology course, and we will be learning different types of bioremediation techniques and its detailed mechanism in the upcoming weeks. So this is all regarding the basics of environmental biotechnology. Then, before moving on to the core concept, first we have to first first we have to understand the term biotechnology. So, anyone can explain what is biotechnology in a simple term? Like what is biotechnology in layman perspective term?
So it can be like use of techniques in waste management and other related issues to solving the problems of common human beings, environmental. Thank you.
Ah, it's right, it's right. But in addition to that, you whatever you have said, we have to use a microorganism in order to treat this. So anything using a microorganism. So anything use of microorganism in order to remediate the environment is considered to be biotechnology. So, if you see the basic definition, it is also not a single core structure. It combines various programs like biochemistry, microbiology, environmental sciences in order to achieve the target. It can be any target. It can be used in industries, agriculture, healthcare, or in the environmental process too. And if you see over time, this biotechnology has been evolved from simply studying the microorganism to modifying the DNA and efficiently using for synthesizing the low toxicity products. And it can also be used now for renewable bioenergies. Like bioenergies means it is like mm, synthesizing biogases or biodiesels, etc. And now they are focusing on creating a new methods for monitoring the environmental contaminants, which is like monitoring the heavy metals, arsenic pollution, etc. So the biotechnology has evolved from studying the microbes to the more advanced level. And how it has evolved? Now it has been evolved with numerous technologies like gene therapy technology, recombinant DNA technology, CRISPR technology, with the help of biochemistry, immunology, and molecular and cellular biology. So these biotechnology has evolved over the years in order to simplify and to gain the need of environmental issues. So, if we see in the 21st centuries, the biotechnology helps us to create the alternative chemicals such as biobutanol, everything using a microorganism. And also, it helps in producing fuels like biodiesel, biogas, biobutanol using a simple and cheap agro residues. And also it has variety of commercial products that has been produced through biotechnology, such as monoclonal antibody, vaccines, and if you see in COVID, it has been produced through the biotechnology principles. And apart from that, due to the advent of many techniques, now there have been more developed technological tools like PCR, and we can also get informations like genomic sequence in order to analyze this biological process in the environment. Like anyone can tell what is the expansion of PCR? PCR stands for
Polymerase chain reaction.
yes, polymerase chain reaction. These are used to amplify the DNA. So these are all the more advanced that have been occurred in the biotechnology. And moreover, they have been helpful in decoding the carbon cycle and how this metal transformation has occurred. So gaining by gaining all this biological information, which helps in So, by gaining all this information, which helps in predicting the application towards a specific goal. Now we are focusing on environmental biotechnology. So one of the most classical example is that aerobic wastewater treatment system, where if we see in the secondary treatment procedure, where the activated sludge means a consortia of microorganism helps in treating or consuming the organic waste and converting into non-toxic simple compounds. That is, they will break down the organic matter by providing appropriate oxygen, temperature, pH, and it converts into clean water. So this is how the microorganisms are effectively utilized in terms of environmental biotechnology. Here, if we see, the primary treatment is simply the sedimentation, where the particles will be settling, and the next stage we will be carrying out the treatment process. The actual treatment occurs in the secondary treatment, and we will be separating the cells in this third stage, where simple centrifugation or filtration, eventually it will be ended with final effluent. So this is where and biotechnology is applied in the environment to treat any kind of wastewater treatment. Any industries like food industry, pharmaceutical industry, every industry produces a waste, and these industries follow a specific strategy using the environmental biotechnology strategies. So anyone can tell what is mean by aerobic system? Aerobic refers to aerobic process. Anyone? Aerobic means any process. Yes, it's correct. Any process that occurs in the presence of oxygen. Correct, Shushmita. So this is the one of the classical example for aerobic wastewater treatment system, where the oxygen is spurged into the bioreactor in order to enhance their growth and development. So this is how biotechnology has played an important role in environmental aspect. And if we see the key features of the biotechnology in the environment, the first point we could say that the majority of this biotechnology process are microorganism based. Why? Because these microorganisms are everywhere. They are nature's own army. They are always ready to help if we use them effectively. So majority of the biotechnological processes are microorganism based. And these microorganisms are relatively inexpensive because they are cost effective and they consume cheap substrates. So it can be maintained inexpensively and cheaply, and moreover they are flexible. Different microorganisms, they have the adapt to different conditions, and they have been evolved to consume more or new molecules. And moreover, these microbial species are smart learners because they also learn to adapt, and uh, they can adapt to various situations, and they can metabolize various xenobiotics. So anyone know what do you mean by xenobiotics? Xenobiotics refers to, these are all like one kind of pollutant, right? So what do you mean by xenobiotics? Anyone? Xenobiotics refers to, okay, xenobiotics are man-made pollutant like plastic waste. So these microorganisms, they will learn to metabolize or consume these kind of pollutant if they are allowed to grow in the appropriate environment. And last but not the least, these environmental biotechnology is always perceived as a green technology. That is, they don't use any harsh chemicals. They always work with the nature. They don't work against it. So these are all the key features of biotechnology in aspect of environment. That is, they are always microorganism based, and these microorganisms are always inexpensive. They are flexible, and they adapt to the environment and they are always regarded as green. So these are all the key features that we have to be keep in mind while applying the biotechnological environment biotechnology. So moving on to the application of this biotechnology in the environmental aspect. Here in the first diagram, we could see that biotechnology has been applied in various fields, right from environmental biotechnology, food technology, medicine, genetic technology, and agricultural technology. But here we will focus more on the environmental biotechnology, where it targets first is it decontaminate the environmental composition, whether it is a water pollution, soil pollution, or land pollution. And moreover, production of chemicals, valuable added chemicals can be produced using the biotechnology using waste residues. And we could build a biosensors in order to detect these pollutants in the real-time condition. And also it helps in addressing the addressing the pollution and preventing them and minimizing the waste. So these are all the main application of biotechnology in the environmental aspect. And these are all the other biotechnological aspect that has been followed in the different industry. And if we see the second diagram, the key intervention of the environmental biotechnology, this biotechnology often interconnected with all the aspects. That is, these manufacturing industry, what they will do, they produce waste, and these waste will be managed using the environmental biotechnology. Again, it will be this waste should not be entered into the environment. So we will be preventing the pollution or control the pollution. So by this, these four aspects has been interlinked with one another and it can be applied or correlated with the environmental biotechnology. So this biotechnology is a green engine. It powers not only it manages the waste, but also it controls and prevents the pollution. So these are all the pillars of environmental biotechnology that we will be seeing in the upcoming weeks. So till this, the first session of the basics of environmental biotechnology and the related biotechnology definition is over. Till this, you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can unmute the mic and you can ask, or you can post the queries in the chat box. I hope it understands, and we will go to the next session, which is we will study more on environmental biotechnology and its disciplinary branch. So, according to the International Society for Environmental Biotechnology, they have defined the environmental biotechnology as development, use, and regulation of this biological system. That is, they will develop a new technology or a new strategy and they will use and regulate them in order to remediate or in order to treat the contaminated environment that is already contaminated, or they will prevent the pollution from occurring to it. So this is the general environmental technology definition, biotechnology definition from International Society for Environmental Biotechnology. But in layman perspective, this environmental biotechnology can be defined as utilizing any kind of microorganism to improve the environmental quality and achieve the sustainability. How it is improved? By preventing the environmental pollution that is already existing and controlling this environmental pollution and generate a valuable resource from the waste that could be useful for the human society. So this is the basic definition that we are once again given by the International Society for Environmental Biotechnology. And if we see the environmental biotechnology, it is not a single branch, it is a integrated and interdisciplinary branch. That is, it involves knowledge, tools, and principles from different perspective and different engineering disciplines in order to address this complex environmental issues. So, what kind of branches normally do they integrate? Like right from biotechnology, chemical engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical instrumental engineering, computer science, data science, and AI, material science engineering. These are all the some of the these are all the departments that coordinately work in order to address these environmental issues. So, if we see biotechnology, if we see biotechnology, they will use or understand the microorganism or enzymes in order to clean or waste treatment in environmental biotechnology. Whereas in terms of chemical engineering, what they will do is they will design the reactors and study the reaction kinetics that occurs in the system. Whereas with respect to the civil engineering, they will build or design the wastewater treatment and disposal systems. Whereas mechanical engineering, they will devise appropriate agitators or storage tanks or aeration systems for their system to in order to effectively run the system. Whereas electrical instrumentation engineering, they help in detecting this pollution in the real-time environment. Whereas the computer science, data science, and AI, these engineers will help in automate and predict the modeling in order to predict the future perspective data. Whereas the material science engineering, they will create sustainable materials from the agricultural or plastic waste. So by understanding this, we understand the involvement of various branches that contribute to the environmental biotechnology. So if we take an example of treatment of industrial wastewater using a smart bioreactor system. So this is the instance where we can tell I want to treat a textile wastewater. So how do these different branches comes into play and how do they contribute? First, how biotechnology will contribute in treating the textile wastewater? Anyone? How biotechnology branch helps in treating the textile wastewater? Anyone? Anyone? How biotechnology helps in contributing for how biotechnology helps in contributing for textile wastewater? The biotechnology helps by utilizing or by giving a suggestion of appropriate bacteria or microorganism in order to degrade this effluent. So normally what happens is in textile wastewater, there is a lot of dyes will be present, color dyes that we used to dye for the clothes, right? So there will be lot of dyes will be there. So the biotechnology uh, will give us an idea what microorganism need to be used in order to degrade these dyes. So this is how biotechnology helps. Whereas in chemical engineering aspect, how they will help? They will help in designing the reactors and they study their kinetics. What is a mechanism? What is a basic mechanism that contributes for degrading these dyes. And civil engineers, they will help in designing the wastewater pipelines, storage tanks, foundation for this treatment facility. Whereas the mechanical engineering, they will ensure and maintain the proper agitation system because if we take an aerobic system, since we already know this way, it will be occurring in the presence of oxygen. So you need a aeration tank. So aeration system needs to be built and appropriate pumps needs to be fixed in order to have a good aerobic system treatment. So the next, the electrical instrument and engineering will help in fixing the sensors, appropriate sensors like pH, temperature, DO, and they will also help in analyzing the real-time parameters, that is, automated control systems can be built with the help of the electrical or instrumentation engineering peoples. Whereas with the help of the computer science, data science, and AI, they help in building the algorithm for predicting the futuristic values or optimizing the treatment efficiency. Whereas material science engineering will help in designing the biocompatible membrane for the microbes. So by this, to treat a textile industrial wastewater, these many peoples has to come into play in order to give a environmental solution. So this is why this environmental biotechnology is often regarded as integrated and interdisciplinary branch. And if you see the scope of this environmental biotechnology, it always associated with the waste management. It helps in reducing the greenhouse effect. It also helps in producing bioenergy or biofuels, and it helps in restoring the ecosystem and effectively manage them, and moreover it prevent and control the pollution. So these are all the main scope of this environmental biotechnology. Then if we see the journey of this environmental biotechnology from the earlier to the till date, we could see that earlier there has been a limited knowledge of wastewater treatment, landfill management, and bioremediation groundwater. They have been using and studying the wastewater alone, and the scientists were not understood what could be the mechanism of microorganism that involved in this degradation. So slowly they move on to the microbial ecology, where the scientists studied the interaction between microorganism and the pollutant, and and they try to identify new microbial strains and what could be the metabolic pathway that undergone during the degradation, and they started to study slowly the biochemistry and the genetics background of how this pollutant degradation is happening. So this is how, and this is how the scientists were able to understand the microbiology and the interaction with the microorganism and the pollutant. After understanding, and still they are understanding the interaction, then they, due to the advent of many technologies like RNA technology, DNA technologies, CRISPRs, synthetic biology, now they have been focusing on providing valuable resources like bioenergy, as we have discussed earlier. Bioenergy refers to biofuels like biodiesels, biobutanols. And now they are being valorization of waste. That is, they are using the cheap agro residue waste and converting them into a valuable product. And it is the environmental biotechnology is still evolving, and now they have been focusing more on new technology, cultivation technologies. And why is it so? Because microorganisms evolve daily or year after year. So there has been numerous cultivation technique according to the strain and the habitat and the condition. They have been uh, they have been discovering more cultivation technique pertaining to the environmental challenges. And this is how they have been moved forward from the simply wastewater treatment to analyzing depth in synthetic biology. So this is how the journey of the environmental biotechnology evolved. Biotechnology evolved. And as we have seen, the environmental biotechnology, this is a utilizing the microorganism that is to challenge the environment. So anyone, can you tell what is microorganism? What is microorganism?
So the living organism which cannot be seen by naked eyes, but can be seen with the help of microscope called as microorganism.
Yes, it's correct. Correct definition. Anything that can be seen under the microscope. Correct, Vishwa? So these microorganisms are tiny living organisms that are microscopic, and the microscopic consists of bacteria, fungi, algae, and protozoa. But how this microorganism helps in addressing the challenges of environment? So these are all the some of the applications that are involved in the environmental aspect. So if you see the bioremediation aspect, bioremediation, this is two part. So remediation means treatment. Bio means some biological process needs to be used or use of microorganism. So treating the polluted environment using the microorganism. That is why they have been called as bioremediation. So using the microorganism in order to clean up the contaminated. So using the microorganism in order to clean up the contaminated either soil, water or air pollution. So one of the example that I have been mentioned earlier, normally if there is a oil spill, uh, they will go for a bioremediation kind of approach where different species like Pseudomonas species, Proteobacter species, they have been used in order to degrade these oils. So this is one of the application where bioremediation has been applied. So the next application is that wastewater treatment. As we have seen previously, in order to bioremediate any kind of wastewater or any industries like textile industry, pharmaceutical industry, food industry, every industry produces some kind of waste and it needs to be disposed properly before entering into the environment. So what happens here is they will use appropriate microorganism in order to degrade the organic pollutant that are present in the sewage or any industrial wastewater. So the second application is that wastewater treatment, and the third application is bioenergy production. As we have seen, bioenergies are renewable source of energy. They can be produced indefinitely. So in order to produce indefinitely, the only way is the microbes. Hello, hello, am I audible? Its slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I had some internet issue. Sorry for the inconvenience. So we will continue on that. So these bioenergies, they have been produced from the cheap agro residues. That is from the dried leaves or any forest residues. So it can be produced from any cheap residues, but only condition is that we have to use appropriate microorganism. So here also the microorganism play an important role in order to produce the bioenergy. For example, from the cow dung or food waste, they have been producing biogas, which is biomethane. And also, bioethanol is produced from the sugar or starch by using a yeast called Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So, in each instance, microorganisms play a different role in fulfilling the appropriate need. So at last, the pollution control, where denitrifying bacteria can be used in order to remove the nitrates that are present in the polluted water. And there are different sulfur oxidizing bacteria where they can treat the industrial flue gases such as removing the SO2. So this is how the microorganism has been applied in different environmental challenges, right from bioremediation, wastewater treatment, bioenergy, and pollution control. Pollution control. So this is the importance of microorganism. And in this second session, we have seen what is the journey of the environmental biotechnology, why it is called an integrated and interdisciplinary branch, and what is the importance of microorganism and what are their application, particularly in terms of environmental biotechnology. So, anyone has any doubts on this session? If you have any doubts, you can post the queries in the chat box or you can unmute the mic and you can ask me. Okay. So before moving on to the next session, like anyone know what is the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic organism? Anyone? Prokaryotic and eukaryotic organism? Hello.
So, prokaryotic cells are primitive cells, and eukaryotics are quite well developed. Prokaryotic cells include bacteria, and eukaryotics include plant cell and animal cell.
Yes, it's correct, correct. Absolutely. So these are all the broad classification of microorganism and bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa. These are all some of the microorganisms that helps in bioremediating the environment. So this is the so far what we have covered is we have seen what is environmental biotechnology and what is the importance of this biotechnology in terms of environmental challenges and issues. And we have seen the key features of environmental biotechnology and journey of this environmental biotechnology and what is the importance of microorganism in environmental biotechnology. So this is the second session and we will move forward to the next session where we will discuss on ecology. So ecology is nothing but or ecosystem is nothing but studying the life at home. That is every microorganism they live together in an environment. It is like a home. So there would be a relationship between this organism and the environment. So if we are going to study this pattern of this relation between the organism and the environment, it is referred to as the ecology. And what is the ecosystem? The system which consists of organism and their corresponding environment, we call it as an ecosystem. And ecology refers to the study of these systems. So this is the this is the term of ecology and ecosystem. In that, we see two major pillars of ecosystem, and one is the physical factors and the biological factors. Physical factors are normally abiotic, whereas biological factors are biotic factors. And what do you mean by abiotic components? Abiotic, that is non-living component that are affecting the living component, that is non-living component affecting the biotic component. Whereas biotic component refers to all the living things that could directly or indirectly affect the organism in their corresponding environment. So if you see the abiotic component, some of the examples like pH, temperature, dissolved oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, these are all abiotic components. Whereas if you see the biotic components, like every microorganism, either it is a bacteria, fungi, yeast, algae, humans, all comes under the biotic component. So, can anyone tell, for example, I will give a situation where you have a lake or a pond or sea, anything you can take an aquatic ecosystem. So can anyone tell what are all the abiotic component that you will consider in an ecosystem? I will repeat it once. You have a lake, pond, or a sea or river. So what could be the abiotic component and what could be the biotic component? Anyone? Or you can put your answers in the chat box also. So as we have already discussed, abiotics are non-living components. It can be pH, temperature, oxygen, anything. Whereas biotic is like any microorganism, humans, it includes. So if we take a lake or a pond, what is the abiotic component that is present? Anyone? Abiotic components are lake, pond, sea, river, water. Okay. Fishes are biotic component. So, Pragati, water is an abiotic or biotic? It's
It's an
an
abiotic.
abiotic component. Okay. And apart from that, abiotic component can also pertains to the, you can include the temperature also. The water is one of the abiotic component, and sunlight, because sunlight is also needed for an planktons, because in lakes planktons will also be present, and O2 and nutrient availability, these are all the other abiotic component, and in addition to what you have said. And the biotic components are fishes, exactly, fishes, and some frogs, some algae will also be present, some bacteria will also be present. So so if we see an ecosystem, there will always be an abiotic and biotic components. And these biotic components, directly or indirectly, they depend upon the biotic component, abiotic components, because fish needs water and nutrients for their survival, correct? And the phytoplanktons needs appropriate oxygen, water for their survival. So it is always that biotic components, they are directly or indirectly depend upon the abiotic components. By this slide we could understand what is the main difference between the abiotic component and the biotic component, and we have seen one examples also. And then if we move on to the level of organization hierarchy, so if you see in the very basic level, they start with molecules. Molecules are nothing but they are atoms. They are smallest unit of chemical compounds. The molecules examples are like it can be H2O, water, or DNA. So these molecules combines to form a cell. So can anyone tell what is the smallest functional unit of life? The functional unit of life is anyone? The functional unit of life is it is cell. Correct. So these cells form a group which forms a tissue. Then tissue organize into organs, then organ system. These organ system combine to form different organ systems combine to form an organism. And these organisms are the individual living thing. That is, for example, as shown in the figure, a bison or a crow, bird, anything, it is an organism or an individual. Then what is population? This group of organisms that are same species, and herd of bison, a group of bird. So if it is the same species, then it is called a population. Then what is the difference between community? So different population forms a community. That is a bison, snake, dog, grass, everything. So a community, when is associated with non-living surroundings like land, water, and air, then it became an ecosystem. Then this part of earth that contains all these ecosystems are referred to as biosphere. And this is also illustrated in a different way in the first image, where an individual and group of individual of the same species is referred to as a population. And this population, different population in a same habitat called as community. and different community forms an ecosystem, then biome in a particular specific location, then different biomes contributes to a biosphere. So this is the level of organization hierarchy that normally we have. And what is the importance of studying them? Because it helps in understanding their interaction at different levels. That's why it is important to understand this level of organization hierarchy while studying the ecosystem. Then, in order to understand their interaction level, so this is one of the basic example that we will be going through now. How ecosystem functions, how they interact. So here we have plants and soil and the microorganism. If you see in the first case the root anatomy, we have the root hairs. These root hairs, what happens is they normally soak in water and nutrient from the soil, and they release specialized chemicals called exudent, which helps to attract the microorganism towards it in order to have a symbiotic relationship between them. This is how the root anatomy is studied while understanding the interaction between them. And if you see the microbial interaction, normally this plant microbial community interaction is very important while studying the ecosystem. So if you see uh, this microorganism helps the plant. This microorganism helps the plant to break down the nutrients into soil because plants cannot take the complex nutrients. So it will get help from the microbes and they will degrade them into the simple nutrients, and these nutrients will be taken up by the cells. And these microorganisms that feed or they depend on the roots depend on the plants. They are referred to as endophytes. So this is how the microbial interaction is taking place with the help of the plant. And if you see the nitrogen fixation, for example, in the bean or peas, the plants have a specialized nodules and on their roots, and these are called root nodules, where some rhizobacteria are present. What what happens to that? These rhizobacter helps in converting the atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia, and this ammonia in turn helps for their plant growth and metabolism. So this is how the various interaction happens between the plant and the microorganism. And indeed, the mycorrhiza, which is a fungal, which also partnership with the roots, and these microorganisms are called as ectomycorrhizae because they are always associated with the plants, and this helps in uh, absorbing the nutrients from the soil, and the microorganism gets the appropriate nutrient for their own growth also. So these kind of level of interaction helps in symbiotic relationship between the plant and the ecosystem. This is one instance we can understand the ecosystem's function. So this is how the interaction will be taking place at different level. And if you see the main component of the ecosystem, as we have already seen, the community and the non-living environment together called as the ecosystem. And if you see, there are three levels of ecosystem. One is the species level. Species refers to group of individuals, whereas population, these are individuals that belongs to the same species. That is, we have already seen a single bird, whereas population is group of birds, where community contains birds, eagles, lions, tigers, everything composed of a community. So this is the major and basic components of ecosystem. And if you see the classification of this ecosystem, first based on the trophic level, we classify them as producers and consumers. So producers are normally autotrophs. So anyone can tell the definition of autotrophs? Autotrophs are Autotrophs are,
organism which can make their food by its own.
yes, correct. So these are all the organism, they prepare their own food. Example, green plants, we can say. So in this also, we have two types of autotrophs, which is photosynthetic form and chemisynthetic form. So photosynthetic form, the term itself, it indicates that they obtain or create their food with the help of the sunlight, which is photo. Photo refers to the sunlight. Whereas chemisynthetic form, they obtain their food instead of light, they will use chemicals or organic substance in order to produce their food. For example, in photosynthetic form, the green plants are the classical example where they use solar energy and convert into chemical energy. And this process is called as photosynthesis. And here we could say examples like green plants, photosynthetic bacteria, some algae, they perform autotrophs. So these are all mainly they produce their own food, and the primary examples are green plants, photosynthetic bacteria. So these are all comes under producers. Whereas consumers are normally they don't synthesize their own food. They always depend on other or they feed on others. Here there are three types of classification, where the first one herbivores, primary carnivores and secondary carnivores. So herbivores are they are animals that consumes plants. For example, any examples on herbivores which consumes plant? Anyone? Simple example. Herbivores. Yes, deer, grasshopper, cow. Yes, correct. So the next is primary carnivores. These are meat-eating animals that consume herbivores. So any examples of primary carnivores? They are meat lovers. So what could be the example for primary carnivores? Yes, frogs. Frogs, and we could say like fox, wolves, these are also primary carnivores. And secondary carnivores are they consume other animals. In some ecosystem, they have been also we can also find tertiary feeding on secondary. So there are primary, secondary, and tertiary. And secondary carnivores are like hunters. They are normally hunters like tigers, lions. They are referred to as. So based on the trophic structure, primarily, they have been classified as primary and secondary. In primary and consumers. In consumers, we have herbivores, primary carnivores, and secondary carnivores, and sometimes we could counter decomposer or the eagles, which are feed on dead organic matter. So these are all the basic classification based on the trophic structure. So if you see the structural component, based on the structural component, ecosystems are classified as inorganic substance. Inorganic substance are nothing but non-living material. Anything that is non-living material such as water, air, sunlight, these are all inorganic substance. Then organic substance or organic compounds. These are nothing but the carbohydrates, fats, proteins, which acts as a food or fuel for the ecosystem. And then climate play an important role in the ecosystem. And climate, which includes it can be rainfall, wind, sunlight, and temperature. And why is it so important? Climate because we cannot put a polar bear in the desert, right? So it needs to be in an appropriate environment, in an appropriate habitat in order to grow and sustain. So the climate play an important role in the ecosystem. And as we have already seen, the producers, which are normally green plants, these are all producers which are often autotrophs. And these macro consumers and micro consumers are herbivorous. Macro consumers are herbivorous, carnivorous, primary carnivorous, secondary carnivorous. These are all comes under macro consumers. Micro consumers, these are all decomposers, the animals that feed on dead organic matters. So these are all the classification of structural components which includes inorganic substance, organic compounds, climate, producers, consumers. We can classify further them to macro consumers where it includes herbivores, primary carnivores, secondary carnivores, and micro consumers, which includes decomposers. So this is the main classification based on structural components. And if we see the energy flow in the ecosystem, as we have already studied the basics of producers and consumers, here we could elaborately see that plants are primary producers. What they will do, they will convert the sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water into simple sugars and oxygen through a process called photosynthesis. So this is the they get energy from the sunlight. So this is the primary in a pyramid. This is the all the primary producers. This moves to the first trophic level, which is herbivores. Then it will move to the second trophic level, third trophic level, and fourth trophic level. If you could observe that the fourth trophic levels are the decomposers. As we have seen, they feed on dead organic matters. So these are all the consumers, and we could see that if we move on to one level to the other level, it often passes only 10 percentage of the energy to the next level. Rest of the 90 percentage of the energies they are lost through heat. That is, they undergo an energy intensive process. This is how the energy is flowing in an ecosystem. So only 10 percentage of energy is converting into the or it is carried out into the next trophic level, and lot of the energies are released into the environment as heat. So this is the basic energy flow in the ecosystem. So if we see the tropic level, as we have seen in the first tropic level, producers are the main audience where plants play an important role. Where in terms of herbivores, which is a second tropic level, where primary consumers like herbivores play an important role, whereas the primary first level of carnivores, which is considered to be the third trophic level, they are the secondary consumers. Whereas second carnivores, fourth trophic level, tertiary consumers. Here we could allocate some of the decomposers like decomposers which are feed on dead organic matter. And we should keep in mind that only 10 percentage of energy is carried out from one tropic level to the another tropic level. Rest of the approximately 90 percentage of the energies are lost through heat. So this is the different tropic level, and this is the third session comes into conclusion. So any doubt in this third session? Any doubt? So can anyone tell or message in the type box classification of ecosystem based on tropical structure? What are all the classification that we have undergone? Based on tropical structure. Based on tropical structure, classification of ecosystem is producer, and consumer. So, in consumer, what are all the classification that we have gone through? Consumers, in consumers, we have seen herbivores, primary carnivores, secondary carnivores, and tertiary carnivores as decomposers. So these are all the classifications that have been seen on the trophic structure. And based on the structural components, we have seen different substances and compounds that affects the ecosystem. One is inorganic substance, organic compounds, climate, producers, micro and macro consumers. And we have seen the energy flow and how it affects at each topic level we have seen. So next we will see what is the difference between the food chain and the food web. Can anyone have idea on difference between food chain and food web? So what is basically a food chain? The difference between food chain and food web? Anyone? Food chain, food web? Correct,
In
Vishwa?
food,
Yes, yes, Charna.
in food chain, high trophic level feed upon a single type of lower trophic level organisms, and in food web, higher trophic level. Matlab, I think in food web, interconnection of food chains, so relations between them.
Yes, absolutely correct, Charna. It is a correct definition. And Vishwa, you have given a example, perfect example. And yes, the food webs are interconnected. The interconnected food chains are food webs. So now we will see this food chains are nothing but, as we have already seen the energy flow in an ecosystem. So energy will be transferred, or the transfer of food energy in the plant through a series of repeated eating and being eaten by the first, the green plants will be eaten by grasshopper, followed by frog, followed by snake, followed by a hawk, and then fungi, which consumes this decomposing dead organic matter. So, if we could see that the energy or food energy is gradually transferring from one consumer to the another consumer, and it is a linear chain of food chain. So, this is referred to as food chain, transferring the food energy through a series of event starting with the producer, then to the final consumer. And we have already seen in the energy flow diagram, 80 to 90 percentage of the energies are lost as heat. And if you see, if the chain is shorter, the more energy will be transferred and less loss will be occurred. So this is the main key point that needs to be keep in mind while studying the food chain. If there is a very less chain less amount of groups, we could save more amount of energy. That is, more amount of energy is conserved and not liberated as heat. So this is the main key point. The shorter the chain or nearer to the organism, the greater the available energy. So what do you mean by food web? It is an interlocking pattern. As seen in the diagram, it is an interconnected food chains or called as food web. And this is the main important concept in order to understand the relationship between the different ecosystem at the different level. So this is one of the main concept where you should know what is the difference between the food chain and and the interlink or interlocking pattern, which is referred to as food web. So then, moving on to the main concept of the environmental biotechnology is that microbial ecology. Ecology, as we have already seen, studying the life, which is the ecology. So, microbial ecology refers to studying the studying the microbes in the environment and their interaction with one another. So, if it is solely depends upon the microorganism with their environment and between them, between the different consortia of microorganism. Consortia is nothing but a group of microorganisms. If we study these interactions along with in their own habitat or environment, this is regarded as microbial ecology. So what does it covers or what does it explores? It explores the diversity of microorganisms. Diversity means different microorganism. Either it can be a bacteria, fungi, algae, yeast. This kind of diversity helps in understanding the microbial ecology. Then distribution, how it distributes among various conditions. That is, how much microorganism is distributed in the soil, ocean, or desert region. So, how much distribution of these microorganism in a different habitat will be explored. And abundance, that is population count, how much amount of microorganism exists in a particular habitat, whether it is in how much population, whether in the ocean or soil or desert. Then the more important thing is that how their specific interaction, that is their interaction between the environmental as well as their between them, between a bacteria or fungi or bacteria algae or bacteria to the environment. This kind of interaction explores a new avenue in the microbial ecology. Whether these microorganism helps or compete or inhibit each other. So these kind of interactions are normally studied in the microbial ecology. And the effect on ecosystems is also studied in apart from their between the relationship. That is, whether this kind of relationship is helping or collapsing the ecosystem. So the main important of microbial ecology is that it explores different areas or avenues by analyzing the diversity, distribution, abundance, how much count or population count, their specific interaction between the microorganism and between the environment, and how it affects the ecosystem, whether it is competing or helping the ecosystem. These kind of all avenues are explored in the microbial ecology. And this is why studying the microbial ecology in environmental biotechnology is very important. So, moving on to the areas of studies, the microbial diversity, as we have already seen, the diversity, studying different kind of microorganism and how do we isolate them, identification and quantifying in different habitat will be thoroughly studied in the microbial diversity area. And this microbial diversity area will be explored detail in the upcoming week, and you will be knowing how to isolate and identify and quantify the microorganism in an unknown environment. Okay, this will be studied in a separate section, and the microbial ecology assess to assess the activity of the microorganism. What kind of microorganism are doing in their habitat, and how their activity and how it's changed with respect to the biogeochemical cycle. So these are all the some of the aspects that we will be focusing on. and how these informations between the species, between the organism, between the environment, it will be translated by having a better understanding of this particular ecosystem, and this will help in achieving more sustainability, environmental safety, agriculture, productivity, health quality, and overall it improve the quality of all forms of life in synergy. So by this, we could understand what kind of areas of studies are there in the microbial ecology. Then, as we have already know the basics of the microorganism, and we have seen different microorganisms live in different environment. So, if we see the different classes, groups of microorganism, psychrophiles, the term psychrophiles, file refers to they love or they adapt, they live or they grow. So, these are microorganisms, they grow in very low temperature, that is below 25 degrees Celsius. Whereas thermophiles are the microorganism that can tolerate higher temperature. It can tolerate above 60 degree to 130, 150 degrees Celsius depending upon the habitat that we are isolating. So these are all the microorganisms that can sustain very high temperature. And these thermophiles have an application in the environmental biotechnology as well. And these applications we will be discussing in the upcoming weeks. And moving on to the acidophiles and alkaliphiles, these are all microorganisms that favors the growth and adapt to the environment in an acidic condition. So anyone can tell the acidic range pH? What is the pH of the acid? Acidic range?
7.
Acidic range, not the neutral range. Neutral range is 7. Acidic range is
Below 7.
yes, anything below 7. Correct, Vishwa. It is 1 to 6.5 or 1 to 6. So anything below 7, which is regarded as acidic condition. Then alkali condition means
Above 7.
yes, 7 to at what range? 7 to
14.
14. Yes, correct. So these microorganism favors the growth between the 7 to 14, and this is also depends upon the microorganism that we are isolating in a particular habitat. And xerophiles means these are microorganisms that need very low water availability or low water activity. So it can grow in the absence or very low water activity. Then halophiles means they have the capacity to tolerate high amount of salt. Salt means halophiles they can tolerate at higher salt condition. Salt refers to what kind of salt we are referring to? What kind of salt? It is sodium chloride. So, which has the higher capacity to tolerate this higher level of salt concentration, and these microorganisms are referred to as halophiles. And osmophiles are these are all the microorganisms that has the capacity to tolerate higher osmotic pressure. And barophiles are they can thrive or they grow at pressure greater than atmospheric pressure. So these are all the different classes of microorganism that has been isolated in different habitat, and this will be more helpful in designing or exploring new avenues of environmental biotechnology. And these microorganisms are often referred to as extremophiles. Extremophiles refers to the organism that has the capacity to handle the extreme condition. As we have seen, thermophiles is higher temperature. It can tolerate higher temperature. So these are all the and these are all the some of the microorganisms that can handle extreme conditions. So this is the survival of microorganism, and then any doubt in this microbial ecology, food chain and food web? Any doubt? I hope it understood. So now moving on to the next session. So anyone can tell what is thermophiles? Thermophiles, thermophiles are microorganisms that can tolerate thermophiles. Yes, it can tolerate extreme heat. That is, it can tolerate higher temperature. Then barophiles means barophiles. Barophiles, it can tolerate pressure greater than atmospheric pressure. Okay. Then psychrophiles,
Low
yes,
temperature tolerance.
yes, yes. It can survive or grow in the even in the lower temperature. Then halophiles,
Can tolerate a salt concentration higher.
yes, correct. It can handle higher salt condition. So this is how different microorganisms survive at different condition. So we will move on to the next concept in ecology, where habitat and niche we will see. So habitat is nothing but the place where the microorganism or species lives. For example, if you see in a pond, fish, frog, and other living other aquatic microorganisms lives, right? So for a fish, pond is the pond or river or sea. It is the habitat. For us, it is a home or house. It is an habitat. So the house or home is referred to as an habitat. Whereas niche refers to, it is not just where you live, what role you play in that environment. So it refers to what is the role of an organism that play in its environment. So in order to give an example, um, as we have seen, if it is a human, house is the habitat. So what is a niche here? The work, the profession that he carries, it is the niche. So we will see an example. I will ask one question. So if you take a lake, see, if you take a fish, what is the habitat there? For a fish,
Aqu- Aquatic.
aquatic system, it can be either a lake, pond, sea, river, it can be anything. Then what is the niche here?
Their function.
Their function. Because here I'm referring to a fish. It can be different kinds of fish. Fishes are like different kinds. There is an herbivore fish. That is, they can eat only plants. Whereas some other fishes, they can hunt other fishes too, other small fishes, like sharks. Sharks can they can feed on other small fishes, or omnivores like they can feed on both plants and fishes. So what role they play in their habitat is referred to as niche. So this is the basic difference that you need to understand between the habitat and the niche. Habitat is nothing but the place where the organism lives, whereas the niche refers to the role what it plays in the environment. As we have seen, the fishes, for fishes, lake, pond, river, sea is the habitat, whereas what kind of fish we are talking about and what kind of role they play in the lake refers to as the niche. So this is the basic difference between the habitat and the niche. So as we have seen, as we have already seen in the microbial ecology, so what are all the areas that can be explored in the microbial ecology? Anyone? We have seen exploration of microbial ecology, right? I will go through. Microbial ecology explores what kind of avenues? It explores the diversity, distribution, abundance, and also their specific interaction among themselves. This is the more important term that we will be going through now. The specific interaction. How two microorganisms associate with each other and how they maintain their life in this ecosystem. We will see. So what is association? Association is nothing but how do they maintain their relationship among themselves. So many microorganisms, they establish their relationship among themselves, and these are referred to as association. And we term this as symbiosis. Symbiosis is nothing but studying the relationship between the two or more organisms that shares a ecosystem. So in symbiosis, in symbiotic relationship, there is three terms you have to remember. One is mutualism, communalism, and parasitism. So these are the three important key features that we often see in the microbial ecology. One is mutualism, one is communalism, one is parasitism. So anyone can tell what is mutualism? By the term itself, we could understand mutual plus ism. What does it tell us? Mutualism. So normally it is studying the relationship between the two or more organisms. So what is mean by mutualism? Anyone? Mutualism?
When both organisms get benefits by them called as mutualism.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It benefits both the microorganism. So mutualism or both the species get benefited. That is, everyone wins in the situation. Both get benefited. For example, I can say bees and flowers. So what happens here? The bees get the nectar or food from the flower. In turn, flower what happens? Flower gets pollinated. This is how the mutualism works. It gets benefited from the both end, flower and bees. What happens? The bees gets food, that is nectar from the flower, whereas the flower gets pollinated by the bees. So this is the mutualism. Can anyone tell any example of this mutualism in our system in humans? Any example in humans where mutualism is observed? This mutualistic behavior example that is observed in humans? Yes, correct. Absolutely correct, Vishwa. It is human and intentional bacteria. What happens? Mostly gut bacteria, that is proteobacteria, often lives in the gut of the humans. So what happens? This bacteria helps in maintaining the digestive system of the humans. Whereas humans, what we do, we give shelter to this gut bacteria. So this is how mutualism comes into play, where both the teams, both the members are get benefited. So then moving on to the communalism. Communalism, what do you mean by communalism? Here, what happens is one species get the benefit, whereas other it is neither help or harmed. It doesn't actually get benefited, and that benefit also it's not get harmed or it's neither helped. Have you understand the communalism? Can anyone give the example for communalism? I will repeat the definition once again. Communalism refers to one gets benefit but other does not benefit, but also it is not harmed, or it is neither helping the other one. So example of communism, I can give an day-to-day example, which is a bird sitting on the buffalo. So here we could see that the bird sits on the buffalo for its stay. So bird is using the buffalo, but buffalo here it is neither harmed or it doesn't care. So this is how communalism works. So here the bird gets benefited by sitting on the buffalo for its resting condition, whereas buffalo it doesn't it care. So this is how communalism plays and role. And any other example do you come across for this kind of behavior, communalism? Okay, good, Vishwa. It's also a correct example. So this is how the communalism works, and this is how they play a role in the microbial ecology. So the third important term is that parasitism. Here, what happens here is one species gets benefited while other is fully harmed or it get loss. Here, one wins, one loss. Any example? I will give one practical example, then you can give your examples. The one practical example is that mosquito and humans. What happens? Mosquito bite us, sucks the blood, and they live. Whereas humans, they get sick and get malaria or often get hitched. So here mosquito gets benefited whereas humans get sick at some time and causes malaria. This is how the parasitism works. One member wins, other member loss. So any other example of parasitism? Yes, a good example Vishwa. Humans and rhinovirus. The rhinovirus, they stay in our body and they get shelter and they grow and they multiply rapidly, whereas humans gets affected like having a cold. So these are all the three main important terms that we come across in a microbial association. So I hope everyone understands, and I hope you have already gone through the week one lectures, right? You have already gone through the week one lectures of the environmental biotechnology course. And I hope these are all the concepts And these are all the important concepts that has been covered in the week one lecture. And I hope you have, I have cleared all your doubts and made it simple as possible. And one more thing, you can type your background, what kind of background you are. Like background means what kind of discipline, like biotechnology, microbiology, biochemistry. Can you type or you can say so that I can understand the audience. And by next week I can even more simplify or I want to go to advance. You can tell your suggestion. Life science. Okay, Vishwa. Pragati, you are which background?
Sir, BSc Forestry.
Forestry. Okay, okay, okay. So I hope it clears your concept even more after going through the week one lectures, right? Or if you still have any doubts, and if you have still have any doubts, you can email me at ajitvalu284@gmail.com. I'll be free to clear your doubts. Or if you have any queries, you can post your queries in the discussion forum so that I will go through and I will try to answer it. And these are all my LinkedIn page and YouTube channel. And this is my website. You can go through. And I will be uploading these videos as well. I will be uploading these videos as well in my YouTube channel. So you can visit at any time and you can get clear out of it. So this is the week one recap of the environmental biotechnology course. And and by next week, we will see the problem solving aspect and some of the MCQs regarding the week 0 and week 1 session. I hope you have all submitted the week 1 assignment. Okay. So most probably the last date is 6/8, I guess, August 8, 2025. So after that, is it visible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 And the last date is August 8 or 6, I guess. So before that, you just try to submit the assignments, and after that, we will discuss on the answers or solution for these assignments in a detailed manner. And if you have any concepts to discuss, you can post your queries in the discussion forum, or you can email me at ajitvelu284@gmail.com. gmail.com. I will be free to answer your queries. And this is the recording with the week one lectures. So before closing on to it, we will just revise what we have taught in this week one, and we will have a discussion on it. So first we have seen what is environmental biotechnology and what are all the key features of the biotechnology and basic definition of biotechnology and why it is called as integrated and interdisciplinary branch. And anyone can tell why it is called as an interdisciplinary and integrated branch, why it is called so. Environmental biotechnology, you can type your answers in the chat box also, why it is called as integrated and interdisciplinary branch. Why it is called so? It is because it involves lot of different departments, right from biotechnology, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science background, and material science background. So, in order to answer or face an environmental issue, these players will come into play in order to give a sustainable wastewater solution. So, this is why environmental biotechnology is considered to be the integrated and interdisciplinary branch. And we have seen the environmental biotechnology journey, and we have seen what are all the microorganisms and their role, especially in the environmental biotechnology. Can anyone tell what is the role of microorganism? Any one application? Okay, Vishwa, thank you. Any one application of using microorganism?
So for textile water management.
Yes, correct. In textile wastewater treatment, they have been using. And apart from that, they have been using for generating the bioenergy, which is biodiesel, biofuels, biobutanol, etc. Apart from that, they have also been used for pollution control and biosensor development as well. So this is the main role of using the microorganism in the biotechnology. So can anyone tell what is the difference between abiotic and biotic components? Abiotic and biotic components?
Abiotics are non-living components and biotics are living components.
Yes. And the examples are?
Abiotic contain stone, water, anything present in environment, and biotic contain plants and animals.
Yes, correct. And we have seen abiotic and biotic component and level of organization hierarchy at different levels. And we also seen how the interaction happens at different levels which drives the ecosystem function. Then we have seen the different classifications of the trophic structure. And can anyone tell what is the main difference between autotrophs and heterotrophs? The difference between autotrophs and heterotrophs?
Uh, so autotrophs are organisms which make their own food, and heterotrophs are dependent on autotrophs.
Yes. They do not produce their own food, they depend upon the autotrophs for their survival. Absolutely correct. Then in consumers, we have seen herbivores, primary carnivores, and secondary carnivores as well. Then we have also seen the structural component classification, where it includes inorganic substance, organic compounds, climate, producers, and consumers, which includes micro and macro consumers. Then we also studied the importance of energy flow and how it flows from one, that is producer level, to the final decomposer level. And we could see that only 10% of energy is transferred to the next trophic level. And most of the energies are released into the environment as the heat. And these are all the different trophic levels that we have seen. And what is the basic difference between food chain and food web? Food chain and food
Food
web?
chain. Uh, food chain is just a single path of, and food web is interconnected food chain.
Yes, it is a linear chain starting with the producer, ending with the final consumers. Whereas if it is an interlinked food chain, which is called as food web. And then we have seen the microbial ecology, where we have explored different avenues, and it includes the diversity, distribution, abundance, and their specific interaction, and how it affected different ecosystem. And these are all the different areas that we have that are focused on the microbial ecology. And we have seen different microorganisms that can survive in different environments. That is psychrophiles, lower temperature, thermophiles at very high temperature, acidophiles or alkalophiles, xerophiles, which needs only very low availability of water, halophiles, which needs high salt concentration, asthmophiles and barophiles, which optimal at pressure that are greater than atmospheric pressure. Then we have discussed the concept of ecology, where we have understood the difference between habitat and the niche. So what is the primary difference between them? What is difference between habitat and the niche?
So habitat is the place where organism live, and niche is
Yes.
the role of organism in the environment.
Yes. What is the role of their organism in that environment? Correct. Absolutely correct. And at last, we have seen different kind of symbiotic relationship between them. And what are all the three symbiotic relation that we have seen?
So symbiosis, mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism.
And what is the primary difference between them? Mutualism refers to,
Mutualism, in which both organisms get benefit.
yes, where communalism,
In communism, one get benefit and the other didn't get highs and low.
yes, it is neither harmed or helped.
Uh,
So it doesn't
yes.
matter. Whereas in parasitism,
In parasitism, one get habitat, but the other get affected by it.
yes, absolutely. So these are all the microbial association that play an important role in the microbial ecology. So this is all for the week one course. I hope the all concepts were cleared and it has been converted into simple concepts. And you can go through the week two lectures also. It has been released. You can go through and we can discuss it on the next week along with the problem solving questions and some MCQs. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Pragati, and all other users.
Thank
Thank you.